spoiled daughter calls me a breaker and a post because I refusal to pay full cost for her $150,000 wedding. Hey everyone. So I'm 44 years old and I have a daughter, Trisha, who is 23. She is getting married to her boyfriend, Jerry, who is 26, in a few months. I became a father in my early 20s. Just 6 months after our wedding, my wife, unfortunately, passed away from an epileptic seizure. As a single dad, I had one goal in mind: to provide Trisha with the best life I could. After my wife passed away, I threw myself into work, as often happens. My sister took care of my daughter at home, and after work, I took over. I worked hard, got a promotion, and put all my money into raising my daughter and making sure she had everything she wanted. So it's no surprise that Trisha grew up spoiled, and it's entirely my fault. I always thought I had her best interests at heart and just gave her whatever she asked for because I could afford it. My sister told me more than once that I was doing it wrong, but I didn't listen because Trisha was my weak spot. I couldn't say no to her. I had been warned that it would end badly, and it all really came back to bite me about a week ago when Trisha said I had to pay for her wedding. She wanted a really lavish ceremony, and her wedding budget was around $150,000. She wanted a lot of guests, including people she didn't really know but wanted to invite, a fancy banquet, and an outrageously expensive venue. On top of that, she wanted me to pay for a custom designer wedding dress, all the jewelry, and the bridesmaids' dresses. I'm not a cheapskate, and I'm okay with money, but $150,000, that's too much even for me. I have my own business now, but that kind of money for a wedding would simply ruin me. So with a heavy heart, I told Trisha that I couldn't afford such a wedding, and she would have to either cut back or at least contribute herself. She looked disappointed and asked, didn't I put aside a wedding fund for her? And yes, I did, but only $75,000. First of all, I didn't expect her to think I was going to pay for the entire wedding. At best, I figured she'd ask for the venue or the catering. Well, maybe both, but definitely not the entire thing. And second of all, I didn't think she was going to get married so young, so I just didn't have enough time to save up more. Plus, she and Jerry had only been together for a year and could have waited a little longer to get married. I could have saved more money in that time, or maybe they would have gotten better jobs and funded the wedding themselves. I explained all this to Trisha, but she didn't seem to understand and just threw a fit and then left the house. She was mad at me for telling her I couldn't afford to pay for her wedding when she knew I could. It's just that I didn't want to spend that much money on a wedding. She accused me of being selfish and said that if it was a business deal, I wouldn't even think about it. I didn't know how to explain to her that these were completely different things, so I just left it as is. I felt really bad about it, and after some time, I decided to take out a personal loan to pay for her wedding. I immediately discussed it with a banker friend of mine. I could pay off the loan gradually, so it didn't seem like a big deal to me. She didn't talk to me for 2 days, and I decided to contact her only after I finalized the loan. However, on the third day, she posted a caustic post on Facebook, calling me a loser. She accused me of being selfish, saying that all I did was work and that I was never around when she was a child. She even hinted that her mother might have died because of me, and that was especially mean. Then she wrote that I was selfish, a workaholic who thinks about nothing but himself and his business, but still somehow remains broke. It was a low blow, and I blocked her immediately after that post. I didn't even touch my phone or check social media for a few hours after that, and my sister, worried about it, decided to visit me. When she came, I broke down and burst into tears in front of her. Trisha's words cut deep. I was depressed that day and for a couple of days after. I didn't talk to anyone except for work and could hardly get out of bed. My sister stayed with me and took care of me. She also talked to Trisha and made her delete the post, but it didn't change anything because now I knew exactly what my daughter thought of me, and it broke my heart. I couldn't think of a single word to say to her, so I just kept quiet. I only unblocked her yesterday when I was feeling a little better. My sister had already told her everything that's on my mind, but I couldn't just let it go until I talked to Trisha in person. I'd already canceled the loan, and that must have been awful, but I really wanted to hurt my daughter emotionally because she did the same thing to me. I know she's my daughter, and I shouldn't be thinking or feeling that way, but I just really wanted her to understand how I felt, or rather, for her to feel the same way. So I unblocked her and decided to wait for her to call. She finally called me last night. She started by apologizing and saying that she was just really mad and had said a lot of stuff that she didn't really mean. She was just disappointed that she wouldn't be able to have the wedding of her dreams. But even when she apologized, she didn't sound sincere. She sounded more annoyed. And hearing that tone in her voice made me feel even worse. So I immediately cut her apology off and told her that I was going to take out a loan and surprise her. She seemed happy for a moment until I said I canceled the loan after her post and that I wasn't going to give her any money anymore. She should figure out a way to pay for her own wedding since she was so independent and I was so selfish. She started to say something, but I went on and said that since I was so selfish, she should pay me back everything I spend on her after her 18th birthday. It wasn't fair on my part, and I had no intention of actually taking the money back. I just wanted to make her feel ashamed. So I said I wanted her to pay back every cent, and that was a lot of money. I paid for her college education and her housing. She didn't want to live in a dorm. And you see, she needed her own apartment. She went shopping with her friends a lot, took expensive trips because she knew I would pay for it. She was spoiled to the max, and she was taking advantage of it. So I told her, pay back every penny and we'll never have to talk again. She won't have to keep in touch with the poor father, and I won't have to keep in touch with a spoiled, nasty, and ill-mannered girl. And this will be the perfect situation for both of us. By the time I got those last words out, I was literally screaming into the phone. I was shaking with rage, and everything I'd been holding in for the last few days just came out. I couldn't hold it in anymore. When I finished yelling at her, I hung up and collapsed on the couch, trying to compose myself. My sister came out of the kitchen. She heard me screaming and overheard me demanding that Trisha give me my money back. She didn't say anything right away, but I could tell she had a lot on her mind. She waited until the evening and brought it up over dinner. She said that I was equally to blame for how Trisha had turned out because I had spoiled her. Now I can't just put all the blame on her because she didn't raise herself that way. I did. She thinks I was too hard on Trisha, despite everything she said. In her opinion, the right thing to do would be to just break up with her communication until she apologized sincerely, and not just for the sake of it. My sister is sure that my daughter apologized only because her relatives and, perhaps, her more sane friends jumped on her. After all, what she wrote in that post was really extremely unfair to me. But in my sister's opinion, my reaction was no less absurd. I shouldn't have given in to anger because, after all, I was the one who raised her like this. I was the one who created this person. Then she reminded me of all the times Trisha behaved terribly towards others, be it our relatives or her friends, and said that I never really intervened because it didn't concern me personally. At best, I would scold her lightly, but there were never any real consequences, simply because I believed that she would grow out of it. But now that Trisha has set her sights on me, and I myself have found myself in the place of her victims, I have finally seen her true nature. And now I have no one to turn to shift the blame except to myself. My sister thinks I still had a chance to make things right by simply letting Trisha realize her terrible behavior on her own. But instead, I acted like a child and did exactly what she would have done. I was vindictive and unnecessarily cruel, and by doing so, I put myself on her level. And now she will be even angrier and will never realize that she did wrong, and it would have been wiser to just ignore her. At that moment, I disagreed with her and left the dinner without even finishing my meal. We haven't spoken since last night, but now that I think about it, I think I understand what my sister was talking about. I also realized that I acted exactly like Trisha, and that's clearly not the best example for a daughter. But at the same time, I don't think the whole situation is entirely my fault. Trisha is an adult now and has the right to make her own decisions. I didn't teach her to act this way. I just didn't. I understand whether I am to blame for this situation or not. Well, before we move on to the update, I suggest you write your opinion about this story right now. Who do you think is to blame, the author or his daughter, Trisha? Personally, in my opinion, each of the characters is to blame here. And, perhaps, the sister of this author is still right to some extent. Apparently, her vision of the situation is really wise. But nevertheless, I also understand the author. I could say the same thing. But what is the main conclusion I can draw from this whole story? This is that no matter how much money you give your children, if you do not give them your love, then it all just burns out. In fact, for most children, apparently, warmth and love are more important than simply showering them with money. This is such a classic dilemma. Work more to earn more money and ultimately give it to the children, or work less and give more of your warmth and love. I would like each of you to express your opinion on this matter. And now let's find out what was there next. Update 1. Hello everyone. I realized my mistake and apologized to my sister. She is the only person there who cares about me now, and I can't afford to lose her support. She was also right, and I just didn't want to admit it because then I would have to admit my own failure as a father. I guess I never really took Trisha's behavior seriously when she would snap and be nasty to other people. I just didn't want to tell her off. I was too soft with her, and now it's backfired because she's just become a really lousy person. I haven't contacted my daughter since we talked on the phone. She's been quiet too. Trisha still doesn't get that. I don't want money from her. She completely missed the point. I was hurt by what she wrote in that post, and all I wanted was a sincere apology. Update 2. I should have done as my sister said from the start. And now, I completely agree with her, because that phone call didn't help me at all. If anything, it made me realize that I had failed as a father. I wanted to raise a daughter who would never feel deprived because she didn't have a mother. And maybe that's why I tried too hard to spoil her and provide for her in every way she wanted. I went overboard trying to compensate for the loss, and in the end I simply failed as a father and didn't nurture her when I needed to. I could never bring myself to yell at her or punish her, which is an important part of parenting. So maybe I wasn't completely wrong, but I was selfish. Both Trisha and I are suffering because of that selfishness. I regret what happened, but it can't be undone. I certainly don't want any money from Trisha, and I don't think she's ever going to pay it back. I don't regret telling her. I think I just needed to tell her out loud, but I probably should have been more gentle. I don't owe her an apology, so I'm not going to contact her first. If she apologizes, that's a different story, but she hasn't yet, so I don't know. Update 3. I just got a wire transfer from Trisha for $22,000. It's been about 4 days since the last update, and we haven't spoken at all in that time, so I don't even know what it's about. I told my sister about it, and she thinks it's the money I told Trisha to give me back. My spending on her since she became an adult. I guess that's true, but it really pissed me off that she just went and transferred the money without even saying anything, so I sent it back right away. I don't need it. I didn't want that. I wanted an apology, and if there isn't one, then I don't need her money. She hasn't given it back yet. I don't know how this will all end. A few hours have passed since of me posting this update, and literally a couple of minutes after posting it, Trisha called me, told me in a very cold tone that she was just doing what I asked her to do, and that I shouldn't make things any more complicated, but just accept the money and not make a circus out of it. I told her that I didn't want her money and just wanted her to feel as shitty as she made me feel during the phone call. Let her keep my money. I really don't need it. She started arguing and said that after I yelled at her down the phone, she felt uncomfortable being in my debt. I used the same logic and responded that after her post on Facebook, where she called me selfish and broke, I also felt uncomfortable accepting money from her because it would only confirm her opinion of me. We reached an impasse. After a few seconds of silence, she just sighed heavily and said that she no longer understood what I wanted from her and that she was tired of dealing with my weird behavior. I just repeated the same words because I feel the same way about her. There was another pause, and then Trisha said that she was willing to talk if I wanted to have a real discussion about our problems. But if I continued to act like this, she didn't see any chance of improving our relationship. I told her that I didn't want any discussion. All I wanted was an apology. If she was willing to apologize, then we would talk. If not, I had nothing more to say to her. After that, I hung up. She didn't say or text anything else. I had said everything I wanted. The ball was in her court now. Update 4. Hello everyone. It's been a couple of days since I last wrote here. I still haven't heard from Trisha, but Jerry posted on social media that they had broken up. I found out about it from my sister, myself, because she keeps in touch with our relatives, and they saw Jerry's post because Trisha was tagged in it. He wrote that they broke up by mutual consent, but I don't believe that. If that were true, Trisha wouldn't have deleted all of her accounts literally within an hour of that post. I feel like there's more to it than that, but I can't ask my daughter directly, so I have to guess. My sister has a couple of theories, and they all have something to do with my conflict with Trisha. She thinks that they probably had a fight about that situation, and that's why they broke up. That might be true, but I don't think so. Then again, I've been wrong about a lot of things lately, so maybe I'm wrong this time too. I wouldn't even be surprised. I really want to know what happened between Trisha and Jerry, and I really want to support her, because I'm sure she's feeling shitty right now. But there's nothing I can do, so I'm just going to try to ignore it. Well, today I finally found out what exactly happened between Trisha and Jerry, and that's it. It turned out to be really bad. Luckily, it had nothing to do with me, so my sister was wrong, and I'm glad she did, because I didn't want to be a part of that mess. I didn't even have to ask. Trisha herself decided to text me a couple of days ago and told me everything. By the way, we still haven't made up. I don't even know what kind of relationship we're in now, so I'm not going to talk about it for now. Anyway, as I mentioned, Trisha and Jerry had only known each other for a year. They met through mutual friends, and at that point, Jerry was already dating someone. But soon after meeting Trisha, he broke up with his girlfriend. They started dating about a month after they broke up. But a couple of months into their relationship, Trisha found out that Jerry was dating his ex at the same time. They had a fight, but she didn't leave him. She made him promise not to talk to her anymore. Then he proposed to her to prove how serious he was about her, and she started rushing to get married so that he could get his ex out of his head. But recently, Trisha found out that he had been secretly using a second phone to keep in touch with her. That's when she decided to break up with Jerry. It had literally happened a couple of days ago, but Jerry begged her not to tell her about his cheating because if his family found out, they would definitely stop talking to him. He was devastated, and she promised not to make it public. So she posted that they had broken up by mutual consent without giving any reason. Trisha admitted that she had suspected he was cheating on her for a long time, and that was why she had been so nervous since the engagement. And when I told her I couldn't pay for the wedding, she had a breakdown and said a bunch of horrible things to me. But she swore she didn't mean any of that. It was just that her dark side had come out in the midst of stress and disappointment. She also apologized and said that she was truly sorry for writing that post about me. She added that she doesn't expect me to forgive her right away, but she hopes that we can work things out in the future and that she will try to be a better daughter and a better person. I haven't responded to this message yet. I don't know what to say. Of course, I feel sorry for her and for myself too. My daughter was the most important person in my life, and I feel like I screwed it up terribly. I will definitely contact her as soon as I figure out exactly what I want to say. I want to clear things up with her. I want her to know that no matter what happens, I will always be there for her, and nothing will change. Update 6. Hi. Trisha and I were able to make peace, and so far, everything is going well. She apologized to me for everything, and I forgave her because she was already feeling bad, and it would be wrong to pile my resentment on top of her. She told me that the incident with Jerry affected her very much, and she started to lose her temper. But this is not an excuse, because she herself understood perfectly well that she was not the easiest person before person. I am partly to blame for this too, because I never scolded her, punished her, or tried to guide her on the right path. We are both trying to mend our relationship now, because we understand that we need to stick together, especially in difficult times like these. I don't want to give up on her, and she doesn't want to give up on me. So we decided to rebuild our connection and not give up. Now, from Jerry, I advised Trisha to finally tell the truth about what happened to them. He had also promised to be faithful to her, but he broke his promise. So why should she keep her end of the bargain? This guy deserved a lesson. Yes, on my advice, Trisha did publish the truth. They ended up having a very dirty spat on the internet, which only showed his true nature. Trisha was not to blame for anything, and most people sided with her, except for a couple of girls who didn't like her anyway and were just looking for an excuse to throw mud at her. She told me she was glad. I insisted that she spoke up and told everyone the truth because Jerry really needed to be put in her place, and I'm glad she did. We're busy trying to rebuild our relationship now. I can't say everything is perfect, but it's just the beginning. But hopefully we'll have a strong father-daughter bond again soon. She's also started going to therapy and working on herself. Just like me. We both really needed that. We don't know what's in store for us, but we do know that we're going to try our best to get through this together. Well, that's it for now. Thanks for watching this video to the end. Check out our previous videos here, and be sure to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Good luck!